double his strength. And General Driegel was getting more often. The future looked wonderful. And General Peckham contemplated his colonel enchantedly with an effulgent smile. In all matters of consequence, General P. Peckham was, as he always remarked, criticized the work of some close associate publicly, a realist. He was a handsome, pink-skinned man, 53. His manner was always casual and relaxed, and his uniforms were custom made. He had silver gray hair, slightly myopic eye, and thin, overhanging, sensual lips. He was a perceptive, graceful, sophisticated man, was sensitive to everyone's weaknesses but his own, and found everyone absurd but himself. General Peckham laid fastidious stress on small matters of taste and style. He was always augmenting things. Approaching events were never coming, but always upcoming. It was not true that he wrote memorandums praising himself and recommending that his authority be enhanced to include all combat operations. He wrote memoranda, and the prose in memoranda of other officers was always turgid, stilted, or ambiguous. The errors of others were inevitably deplorable. Regulations were stringent, and his data never was obtained from a reliable source, but always were obtained. General Peckham was frequently constrained. Things were often incumbent upon him, and he frequently acted with greatest reluctance. It never escaped his neither black nor white was the color, and he never used verbal when he meant oral. He could quote glibly from Plato, Nietzsche, Montaigne, Theodore Roosevelt, the Marquis de Sade, and Warren G. Harding. A virgin audience like Colonel Scheisskopf was for General Peckham's mill. A stimulating opportunity to throw open his dazzling, erudite treasure house, puns, wisecracks, slander, homily, anecdotes, proverbs, epigram, apothegm, bonbon, and other pungent sayings. He beamed as he began orienting Colonel Scheisskopf with new surroundings. My only fault. He observes good humor, watching for the effect of his words. Is that I have no faults. Colonel Scheisskopf didn't laugh, and General Peckham was stunned. A heavy doubt crushed his enthusiasm. He had just opened with one of his most trusted paradoxes, and he was positively alarmed that not the flicker of acknowledgement had moved across that impervious face, which began to remind him suddenly in texture of an unused soap eraser. Perhaps Colonel Scheisskopf was tired. General Peckham granted to himself charity. He had come a long way, and everything was unfamiliar. General Peckham's attitude all the personnel in his command, officers and enlisted, was marked by the same easy spirit of tolerance and permissiveness. He mentioned often that if the people who worked for him met him halfway, he would meet them more than halfway. With the result, always added with a astute shot, that there was never any meeting of the minds at all. General Peckham thought of himself as aesthetic intellectual. When people disagreed, he urged them to be objective. And it was indeed an objective who gazed at Colonel Scheisskopf and resumed his indoctrination with an attitude of magnanimous forgiveness. You've come to us just in time, Scheisskopf. The summer of petered out, thanks to the incompetent leadership of which we threw. And I am crying for a tough, experienced officer like to help the memoranda upon which we rely so heavily, to let people know how good we are and how much work we're turning out. I hope you are a prolific writer. I don't know anything about writing. Colonel Scheisscott retorted sullenly. Well, don't let that trouble you. General Peckham continued with a careless flick of his wrist. Just pass the work I assign you to somebody else, and trust to luck. We call that delegation responsibility. Somewhere down to the level of this coordinated organization I run out, who get the work done when it reaches. And everything manages to run along without too much effort on my part. I suppose I am a good executive. Nothing we do in this large department is really very important. And there's never any rush. On the other hand, it is important that people know we do a great deal of it. Let me know if you find yourself shorthand. I've already put in a requisition for two majors, four captains, and 16 to give you a hand. While none of the work we do is very important, it is important that we do a great deal. Don't you agree? What about the parade? Colonel Scheisscott broke in. What parade? Inquired General feeling with his polish wasn't getting across. Would I be able to conduct every Sunday afternoon? Colonel Scheisscott demanded petulantly. No, of course. But I gave you that idea. But they said I could. Who said you could? The officers who sent me overseas. They told me I'd be able to march the men around in parades. I wanted to. They lied to you. That wasn't fair, sir. I'm sorry. I'm willing to do everything I can to make you happy. But parades are out of the question. We don't have enough men in our organization to make much of a parade. The combat rise up and rebellion if we try to make them march. I'm afraid you'll just have to hold back a while until we get control. Then you can do what you want with the men. What about my wife? Colonel Scheisscott demanded with suspicion. I'll still be able to send for her, won't I? Your wife? Why in the world should you want to? A husband and wife should be together. That's out of the question also. But they said I could send for her. They lied to you again. They had no right to lie to me. Colonel Scheisscott protested. His eyes wetting with indignation. Of course they had a right. General Peckham snapped with calculated severity, resolving right then and there to test the metal under fire. Don't be such an ass, Scheisscott. People have a right to do anything that's not forbidden by law. And there's no law against lying to you. Now, don't ever waste my time with such sentimental platitudes again. Do you hear? Yes, sir. Murmured Colonel Scheisscott. Colonel Scheisscott wilted pathetically. And General Peckham blessed that it sent him a weakling for us aboard. A man of spun, unthinkable. Having General Peckham relent. He did not enjoy humiliating his men. If you're whack, I could probably have a transfer. That's the most I can do. Yes, a whack. Colonel Scheisscott offered. I'm afraid that isn't good enough. Have Mrs. Scheisscott join the wax if you want, and I'll bring her over here. But in the meantime, my dear Colonel, let's get back to our little war, if we may. Here is the military situation that confronts us. General Peckham wrote toward a rack of enormous colored maps. Colonel Scheisscott blanched. We're not going into combat, are we? He blurted out in one. Oh no, of course not. General Peckham assured him indulged companion of the smile. Please give me some credit, won't you? That's why we're still down here in Rome. Certainly, I'd like to be up in Florence, too, where I close touch with ex-PFC Wintergreen. But Florence is still near the actual fighting. Suit me. General Peckham lifted her and swept the rubber tip cheerfully across Italy from one coast to the other. These Scheisscott are the Germans. They're dug into these mountains very solidly and engulf the Goliath. And won't be pushed out till late next spring. Although that isn't going to stop us we have in charge from trying. That gives us in special services almost 9 months to achieve our objective. And that objective is to capture every bomber in the
Air Force. After.
Said General Peckham with his low, well-modulated chuckle.
If dropping bombs on the enemy isn't special service. I wonder what in the world is. Don't you agree?
Colonel Scheisskopf gave no indication that he did. But General Peckham was entranced with his own capacity to notice.
Our position right now is excellent. Reinforcements like yourself keep arriving. And we have more than enough time to plan our entire strategy carefully. Our immediate goal is right here.
And General Peckham swung south to the island and tapped significantly upon a large lettered on with black pencils. The word was Driedel. Colonel Scheisskopf, squinting, moved very close to the map. And for the first time since the end of the light of comprehension shed a dim over his stolid face.
I think I understand.
He exclaimed.
Yes, I know. I understand. Our first job is to capture Driedel away from the enemy, right?
General Peckham laughed.
No, Scheisskopf. Driedel is on our side, and Driedel is the enemy. General Driedel commands four bombs. We must capture in order to continue our offensive. Conquering General, give us the aircraft and vital bases we need to carry our operations into other areas. And that battle, by the way, is just wow. General Peckham drifted into a laughing again, and settled back against the sill with his arms folded, greatly satisfied by his own wit, by his knowledgeable blasé impudence. The skilled choice of words he was exercising was exquisitely titillating. General Peckham liked listening to himself talk. Liked most of all listening to himself about himself. General Driedel simply doesn't know how to cope with me. I keep invading his jurisdiction with comments that are really none of my business. And he doesn't know what to do about it. When he accuses me of seeking to undermine him, I merely answer that my only purpose in calling attention to his errors is to strengthen our war effort by eliminating inefficiency. Then I ask him innocently if he's opposed to our war effort. Oh, he grumbles and he bellows. He's quite helpless. He's simply out of style. He's turning into quite a souse. Poor blockhead shouldn't even be a general. He has no tone at all. Thank God. He isn't going to laugh. General Peckham jaunty relish and sailed smoothly along to a favorite illusion. I sometimes think of myself as Fortinbras in the play Hamlet, William Shakespeare, who just keeps circling around the action. Everything else falls apart, and then strolls into the end to pick up all the pieces for himself. Shakespeare is not anything about plays. Colonel Scheisskopf broke in. General packed at him in amaze. Never before had a reference to Shakespeare's hallowed Hamlet been ignored or trampled with such indifference. He began to wonder when concern just shithead the Pentagon had foisted on him. What do you know? He asked. Parades, answered Colonel Scheisskopf. Will I be able to send out memos about parades? As long as you don't schedule any. General Peckham returned to his chair, still wearing a frown. And as long as they don't interfere with your main recommending that the authority of special services be expanded to combat activities. And I schedule parades and then call them off. General Peckham instantly. Why, that's a wonderful idea. But just send out weekly announcements postponing the parades. Don't even bother to schedule them. That would be infinitely more disconcerting. General Peckham blossoming with cordiality. Yes, Scheisskopf, he said.
he said.
I think you really hit on something. After all, what combat could possibly quarrel with us for notifying his men that there won't be a parade that coming Sunday? We'd be merely stating a widely known fact. But the implication is beautiful. Yes, how's it? Beautiful. We're implying that we could schedule a parade if we chose to. I'm going to like you. Stop in and introduce yourself to Colonel Cargill and tell him what you're up. I know we'll like each other. Colonel Cargill storming into General Peckin's office in a furor of timid resentment. I've been here longer than Scheisskopf. Why can't I be the one to call off the parades? Because Scheisskopf has experience, and you have. You can call off USO shows if you want. In fact, why don't you? Just think of all the places that getting a USO show on any given day. Think of all the places each name entertainer will be visiting. Yes, Cargill, I think you've hit on something. I think you've just thrown open a whole new area of operation for us. Tell Colonel Scheisskopf I want him to work under your supervision on this. And send him into Racine, giving him instructions. Colonel Cargill says you told him you want under his supervision on the USO project. Colonel Scheisskopf complained. I told him no such thing. Answer General. Confidentially, Scheisskopf. I'm not too happy with Colonel Cargill. He's bossy and he's slow. I'd like you to keep a close eye on what he's doing. And see if you can't get a little more work out of him. He keeps butting in. Colonel Cargill. He won't let me get any work done. There's something very funny about Scheisskopf. General Peck agreed reflectively. Keep a very close eye and see if you can't find out what he's up to. Now he's butting into my business. Colonel Scheisskopf cried. Don't let it worry you, Scheisskopf, said General, congratulating himself on how adeptly he had fit Colonel Scheiskopf's standard method of operation. Already his two barely on speaking terms. Colonel Cargill envies you because of the job you're doing on parade. He's afraid I'm going in charge of bomb patterns. Colonel Scheisskopf is all ears. What are bomb patterns? Bomb patterns? General Peckham repeated, twinkling with self-satisfied good humor. A bomb pattern is a term I dreamed up several weeks ago. It means nothing. But you'd be surprised at how rapidly it's caught on. I've got all sorts of people convinced I think it's bombs with the bombs close together and make a neat aerial photograph. There's one colonel in Pionosa who's hardly concerned anymore with the target or not. Let's fly over and have some fun with him today. It'll make Colonel Cargill jealous. And I learned from Wintergreen this morning that General Driedel will be off in Sardinia. It drives General insane to find out I've been inspecting one of his installations while he's been off inspecting another. We may even get there in time for the briefing. They'll be bombing an undefended village, reducing the whole community to rubble. I have it from Wintergreen's ex-sergeant now, by the way, that the mission is entirely unnecessary. Its only purpose is to delay German reinforcements at a time when we aren't even planning an offensive. But that's the way things go when you elevate mediocre positions of authority. He gestured his gigantic map of Italy. This tiny mountain is so insignificant it isn't even there. They arrived at Colonel Cathcart's group too late to attend the preliminary briefing. Here Major Danby insists, but it is there. I tell you. It's there. It's where? Dunbar demanded defiantly, pretending not to see. It's right there on the map where this road makes a slight turn. Can't you see this slight turn on your map? No, I can't see it. I can see it. Volunteered Havemeyer and marked the spot on Dunbar's map. And here's a good picture right on these photographs. I understand the whole thing. The purpose of the mission is to knock the whole village sliding down the side of the mountain and create a roadblock that the Germans will have to clear. Is that right? That's right. That's right.
Said Major Dan.
Said Major
mopping
Dan.
his
Mopping his
perspiring
forehead with his handkerchief.
I'm glad somebody here is beginning to understand.
These two armored divisions will be coming down from
Austria into Italy along this road.
The village is built on such a steep incline that all the rubble from the houses and other buildings you destroy will certainly tumble right down and pile up on the road. What the hell difference will it make? Dunbar wanted to know was Osirian excitedly with a mixture and adulation. It will only take them a couple of days to clear it. Major Danby was trying to avoid an argument. Well, it apparently makes some difference to headquarters. He answered in a conciliatory tone. I suppose that's why they ordered the mission. Have the people in the village been warned? Asked McWan. Major Danby was dismayed that was registering opposition. No, I don't think so. Haven't we dropped any leaflets this time we'll be flying over to hit them? Asked yourself. Can't we even tip them off so the way? No, I don't think so. Major Danby was sweating and still shifting his eyes about uneasily. The Germans might find out and choose another road. I'm not sure about any of this. I'm just making assumptions. They won't even take shelter. Dunbar argued. They'll pour out into the streets when they see our planes. All the children and dogs and old people. Jesus Christ! Why can't we leave them alone? Why can't we create the roadblock somewhere else? Asked McWan. Why must it be there? I don't know. Major Danby answered unhappily. I don't know. Look, fellows, you've got to have some confidence in the people above our order. They know what they're doing. The hell they do, said Dunbar. What's the inquired Colonel leisurely across with his hands in his pockets and his tan shirt baggy. Oh, no trouble, Colonel. Said Major Danby trying nervously to cover up. We're just discussing. They don't want the village. Meyer snick. Disc 11. No, I don't think so. Major Danby was sweating and still. Bryce, why can't we leave them alone? Why can't we create the roadblock somewhere else? Asked McWan. Why must it be there? I don't know. Major Danby answered unhappily. I don't know. Look, fellows, you've got to have some confidence in the people above our order. They know what they're doing. The hell they do, said Dunbar. What's the trouble? Inquired Colonel leisurely across with his hands in his pockets and his tan shirt baggy. Oh, no trouble, Colonel. Said Major Danby trying nervously to cover up. We're just discussing the mission. They don't want to bomb the village. Evermeyer snicked. Major Danby away. You prick. Osirian said to Havermeyer. You leave Havermeyer alone. Colonel Korn ordered Osirian. He recognized Osirian as the drop that had crossed at the office one night, first mission to Boulogne. And he swung his displeasure to Dunbar. Why don't you want to bomb the village? It's cruel. That's why. Cruel? Asked Colonel Cole with good humor. Frightened only momentarily by the uninhibited vehemence of Dunbar's hostility. Would it be any less to let those two German divisions down to fight our troops? American lives are at stake too, you know. Would you rather see American blood spilled? American blood is being spilled. But those people are living up there in peace. Why can't we leave them the hell alone? Yes, it's easy for you to Colonel Korn. You're saying no, it won't make any difference to you and the Germans arrive, will it? Dunbar turned crimson with them, replied in a voice suddenly defensive. Why can't we create the roadblock somewhere else? Couldn't we bomb the slope of a mountain or the road itself? Would you rather go back to Boulogne? The question asked rang out like a shot, created a silence in the room that was ominous and menacing.
prayed intense with shame. That Dunbar would keep his mouth shut. Dunbar dropped his gaze. And Colonel Corn knew he had won.
No, I thought.
He continued undisguised scorn.
You know, Colonel Cathcart and I had to go to a lot of trouble to get to a milk run like this. If you'd sooner fly missions to Boulogne, Spies, and Ferrat, we can get those targets with no trouble at all.
His eyes gleamed behind his glasses, and his muddy jowls were hard.
Just let me know. I would.
Responded Havermeyer, another boastful snicker.
I like to fly along a straight level with my head in the bomb sight and listen to all that fly pumping away all around me. I get a big kick out of the way the men come charging over to me after the mission and dirty names. Even the enlisted men get sore enough to curse me and want to take socks at me.
Colonel Corn shot Havermeyer under the chin, ignoring. And then addressed himself to Dunbar in a dry monotone. You've got my sacred word for it. Nobody is more distressed about those lousy hills than Colonel Cathcart and myself. Say la guerre. Try to remember that we didn't start the war in Italy, that we weren't the aggressors in Italy, and that we couldn't possibly inflict as much cruelty on the Italians, Russians, and Chinese already inflicting on themselves. Colonel Corn gave Major Danby's shoulder squeeze without changing his unfriendly expression. Carry on with the briefing, Dan. And make sure they understand the importance of a bomb pad. No, Colonel. Major Danby blurted out, blinking upward. Not for this target. I've told them to space their bombs 60 feet apart. We'll have a roadblock of the village instead of in just one spot. It will be a much more effective roadblock bomb pad.
We don't care about roadblock.
Colonel Corn informed.
Colonel Cathcart wants to come out of this mission with a good aerial photograph. He won't be ashamed to send through channels. Don't forget that General Peckham will be here for the full briefing. And you know how he feels about bombs afterwards. It's in the major. You better hurry up with these details before he gets
General Peckham can't stand you. No, Colonel. Major Danby corrected obliging. It's General Dreedle can't stand me.
General Peckham can't stand you. In fact, no one can stand. Finish what you're doing, Danby. I'll conduct the briefing.
Where's Major Danby?
Colonel Cathcart, after you had driven up with the full briefing, Colonel Scheisskopf.
He asked permission to leave as soon as he saw you driving up.
Answered Colonel.
He's afraid General doesn't like.
I was going to conduct the briefing. I do a much better job.
Splendid!
Said Colonel Cathcart.
No!
Colonel Cathcart countermanded himself later. When he remembered how good a job Colonel Corn had done before General First Avignon briefing.
I'll do it myself.
Colonel Cathcart braced himself with the knowledge he was one of General Peckham's favorites, took charge of the meeting. Snapping his words out to the attentive audience of subordinate officers, bluff and passionate toughness he had picked up from General Dreedle. He knew he had a fine figure there on the platform with his open shirt collar, his cigarette holder, and his close gray-tipped black hair. He breezed along beautifully, even emulating certain characteristics of General Dreedle. And he was not the least intimidated by General Peckham's new colonel until he suddenly recalled that General Peckham detested General Dreedle. And his voice cracked. All confidence left him. He stumbled ahead through instinct, burning humiliation. He was suddenly in terror. Colonel Scheisskopf, another colonel in the area, another rival, another person who hated him. And this one was tough.
Suppose Colonel Scheisse already bribed all the men in the room to begin moaning, as they had done at the first Avignon mission. How could he silence? What a terrible black eye that would be. Colonel Cathcart was seized with such fright that he almost beckoned to Colonel Corn. Somehow, he held himself together and synchronized the watches. When he had done that, he knew he had won. For he could end now at any time. He had come in a crisis. He wanted to laugh at Colonel Scheisse with crying spite. He had proved himself brilliantly under pressure. And he concluded the briefing with inspiration that every instinct told him was a masterful exhibition of eloquent tact and subtlety. Now, men, he exhorted. We have with us today a very distinguished guest, General Peckham, special service, the man who gives us all our softball bats, comic books, and USO shows. I want to dedicate this mission to him. Go on out there and bark. For me, for your country, for God, and for that great American General Peckham. And let's see up all those bombs on dime. Chapter 30. Dunbar. Yossarian no longer gave a damn where his bombs. Although we did not Dunbar dropped his hundreds of yards past the village. Would face a court if ever be shown he had done it deliberately. Without a word even to Yossarian. Dunbar had washed his hands of the mission. The fall in the hospital had either shown him the light, scrambled his brain. Impossible to say which. Dunbar seldom laughed. And seemed to be wasting away. He snarled at superior officers, even at Major Dan. It was crude, surly, profane, even in front of the chaplain, who was afraid of Dunbar now. Seemed to be wasting away also. The chaplain was pilgrimage to Wintergreen had aborted. Another shrine was empty. Wintergreen was too busy to see the chaplain himself. A brash assistant brought the stolen Zippo cigarette lighter and informed him condescendingly that Wintergreen was too deeply involved in wartime activity. Concerned himself with matters so the number of men had to fly. The chaplain worried about Dunbar and more over Yossarian. Now that Gore was gone. To the chaplain, lived by himself in a spacious tent, pointy top, sealed him in solitude each night, cap of a tomb. It seemed incredible that Yossarian really preferred living alone, wanted no romance. As a lead bombardier, Yossarian had McWiley, and that was one consolation, though he was still so undefended. There was no way to fight back. He could not even see McWiley from his post in the nose.
right. Okay, okay. The second one's just kind of a double check. Okay, so is this one under the 3Ds then? Cool, cool.
With whose fustian faced the ineptitude, yet finally lost all patience. And there were minutes of agonizing fury and frustration in the sky when he hungered to be demoted again to a wing plane with a loaded machine gun in the compartment instead of the precision bomb that he really had no need for. A powerful, heavy 50 caliber machine he could seize vengefully in both hands and turn loose savagely against demons tyrannizing him. At the smoky black of the flak itself. At the German anti-aircraft gunners below. He could not harm with his machine gun he ever did take the time to open fire. At Havermeyer and Appleby in the lead with their fearless, straight and level bomb run on the third mission to Bologna, with a flak 224 cannons that knocked out engines for the very last time, and sent him down ditching into the sea between Genoa and La Spezia just before the thunderstorm broke. Actually, there was not much you could do with that powerful machine gun, except load it and test fire a few rounds.
This book is continued. Disc 12. Disc 12. Actually, there was not much you could do with that powerful machine gun, except load it and test fire a few rounds. There was no more use to him than the bomb sight. He could really cut loose with it against attacking German fighters. There were no German fighters anymore. And he could not even swing it all the way around into the helpless faces of pilots like Dobbs and order them back down to the ground, as he had once ordered Kid Sampson back, which is exactly what he did once in Dobbs' hideous first mission to Avignon. The moment he realized the fantastic pickle the moment he found himself aloft in a wing plane with Dobbs and in the flight headed by Havermeyer and Appleby. Dobbs and Hoople and Dobbs. Who were they? What preposterous madness to float in thin 2 miles high, an inch or two of metal, sustained from the meager skill and intelligence of two strangers, a beardless kid named Hoople and a nervous nut like Dobbs, who really did go nuts right there in the plane, running amok over the target without leaving his co-pilot's seat, and grabbing the controls, plunged them all down into that chilling dive, tore Yossarian's headset, and brought them right back inside the dense flak from which they had almost escaped. The next thing he knew, another stranger, a radio gunner named Snow, dying in back. It was impossible to be positive that Dobbs had killed him. For when Yossarian plugged his headset back Dobbs was already on the intercom, pleading for someone to go up front and help the bombardier. And almost immediately Snowden broke in, whimpering,
me, please, help me, cold, I'm cold.
And Yossarian slowly out of the nose, up on top of the bomb bay, and wriggled back into the rear section of the plane, passing the first aid kit on the way that he had to return to treat Snowden for the wrong wound, the yawning, raw, melon-shaped hole, big as a football on the outside of his thigh, the unsevered, blood-soaked muscle fibers inside, pulsating weirdly like lines of their own, the oval, naked, almost a foot long, and made Yossarian in shock and sympathy. The instant he spied it, nearly made him vomit. And the small, slight tail lying on the side in a dead faint. His face is white as a handkerchief. So that Yossarian sprang forward to help him first. Yes, in the long run, he was much safer flying with McWatt. And he was not even safe with McWatt, who loved flying too much, and went buzzing inches off the ground with Yossarian on the way back from the training flight to break in the new bombardier and the replacement Colonel Cathcart obtained after war was lost. Practice bomb range on the other side of P&Os. And flying back, McWatt edged the belly of the lazy, slow cruising plane just over the crest of mountains in the middle. And then, instead of maintaining altitude, jolted both engines open all the way, lurched up on one side, and Yossarian's astonishment, began following the falling land down as fast as the plane would go, wagging his wings gaily, and skimming with a massive grinding, hammering roar over each rise and dip of the rolling terrain, like a dizzy gull of wild brown waves. Yossarian was petrified. The new bombardier beside him sat demurely with a grin and kept whistling. And Yossarian wanted to crush his idiotic face with one hand as he flung himself away from the boulders and the lashing branches of trees that up above him, out and rushed just underneath in a sinking blur. No one had a right to take such risks with his life. Go up! He shouted frantically at McWatt, hating him venomously. But McWatt was singing over the intercom and probably couldn't hear. Yossarian, blazing with rage and almost sobbing for revenge, hurled himself down into the crawl, and fought his way through against the dragging weight of gravity and inertia until he arrived at the main section and pulled himself up to the flight deck, trembling behind McWatt in the pilot seat. He looked desperately about for a gun. A gray-black 45 automatic cocked and ran right up against the base of McWatt's skull. There was no hunting knife and no other weapon bludgeon or stab. And Yossarian grasped the collar of McWatt's coveralls and tightening and shouted to him to go up. The land was still swimming by underneath and flashing by overhead on both sides. McWatt looked back at Yossarian and laughed joyfully, as though Yossarian was sharing his fun. Yossarian slid both hands around McWatt's bare throat and squeezed. McWatt turned stiff. Go up! Yossarian unmistakably in a low, menacing voice. Or I'll kill you. Rigid with caution, McWatt cut the motors back and gradually. Yossarian's hands weakened and McWatt slid down off the shoulders to inertly. Not angry. He was ashamed. When McWatt turned, he was sorry the hands were his, and wished there was some place where he could bury them. They felt dead. McWatt gazed at him deeply. There was no friendliness in his stare. Boy, he said coldly. You sure must be in pretty bad shape. You ought to go home. They won't let me. Yossarian answered with averted eye and crept away. Yossarian stepped down from the flight deck and seated himself on the floor, hanging his head with guilt and remorse. He was covered with sweat. McWatt set course directly back toward the field. Yossarian wondered whether McWatt would now go to the operations cultured and requested Yossarian never be assigned his plane again. Just as Yossarian had gone suspiciously about Dow and Orr and unsuccessful about Arfie. He had never seen McWatt displeased before. Had never seen him in any of the most light-hearted mood. And he wondered whether he just lost another friend. But McWatt winked at him, reassuringly, as he climbed down from the plane, and joshed hospitably with his credulous new bombardier during the jeep ride back to the squadron. Although he did not address a word to Yossarian until all four had returned their parachutes and separated. And the two of them were walking side by side toward their own row of tents. Then McWatt's sparsely freckled tan Irish face broke suddenly into a smile, and he dug his knuckles playfully into Yossarian's ribs as though throwing a punch. You louse! He laughed. Were you really going to kill me up there? Yossarian grinned and shook his head. I don't think so. I didn't realize you got it so bad. Boy. Why don't you talk to somebody about it? I talk to everybody. What the hell's the matter? Don't you ever hear me? I guess I never really believed you. Aren't you ever afraid? Maybe I ought to be. Not even on the missions? I guess I just don't have brains enough. McWatt laughed sheepishly. There are so many ways for me to get killed. Yossarian commented. And you had to find one more. McWatt smiled again. Say, I bet it must really scare you when I buzz your tent, huh? It scares me to death. I told you that. I thought it was just the noise you were complaining about. McWatt made a resigned shrug. Oh well, what the hell? He said. I guess I'll just have to give it up. But McWatt was incorrigible. And while he never buzzed Yossarian's tent again, he never missed an opportunity to buzz the beach and roar like a fierce low-flying thunderbolt over the raft in the water, and this hollow in the sand, where Yossarian lay feeling up Nurse Duck, playing a heart pinochle of neatly done Hungry Joe. Yossarian met Nurse Duck every afternoon, both were free, and came with her to the beach on the other side of the narrow shoulder-high separating them from the area in the other enlisted men went swimming nude. Nately, Dunbar and Hungry Joe would come there too. McWatt would occasionally join, and often Arfie, always arrived pudgily in full uniform, and never removed any of his clothing and his shoes and his hat. Arfie never went swimming. The other men wore swimming trunks in deference to Nurse Duck, and in deference also to Nurse Kramer, who accompanied Nurse Duck and Yossarian to the beach every time, and sat haughtily by herself 10 yards away. No one but ever made the naked men sunbathing in farther down the beach, jumping and diving from the enormous whitewashed raft on empty oil drums out beyond the sand bum. Nurse Kramer sat by herself because she was angry with Yossarian and disappointed in Nurse Duck. Nurse Sue and Duck despised Arfie. And that was another one of the numerous traits about Nurse Duck that Yossarian enjoyed. He enjoyed Nurse Sue and Ducket's long white leg and supple colibigus ass. He often neglected to remember that she was slim and fragile from the waist up, and hurt her unintentionally in moments of passion when he hugged her too roughly. He loved her manner of sleepy acquiescence when they lay on the beach at dusk. He drew solace and sedation from her near. He had a craving to touch her always, to remain always in physical communication. He liked to encircle her ankle with his fingers. He played cards with Dunbar and Hungry Joe. To lightly and lovingly caress the downy of her fair, smooth thigh, the backs of his nails, or dreamily sensuously, almost unconscious, slide his proprietary respectful up the shell-like spine, beneath the elastic strap of the two-piece bathing suit she always wore, contained and tiny, long nippled breasts. He loved Nurse Duckett's serene, flattered response. The sense of attachment to him she displayed proudly. Hungry Joe had a craving to Nurse Duckett up, and was restrained more than once by Osarian's forbidding glow. Nurse Duckett would flirt Joe just to keep him in heat, and her round brown eyes with mischief every time Osarian rapped her with his elbow or to make her stop. The men played cards on a undershirt or blanket, and Nurse Duckett mixed the extra deck of cards, sitting with her back resting against the sand. When she was not shuffling the extra deck of cards, she sat squinting into a tiny pocket, brushing mascara on her reddish eyelashes, bird-brained effort to make them longer permanently. Occasionally, she was able to stack the cards, spoil the deck in a way they did not discover until they were well into the game. And she laughed and glowed with blissful gratification when they all hurled their cards down disgustedly and began punching her sharply on the arms or legs as they called her filthy names and warned her to stop fooling around. She would prattle nonsensically when it was striving hardest to think, and a pink flush of elation crept into her cheeks when they gave her more sharp raps on the arms and legs of their folded and shut up. Nurse Duckett reveled in such attention, and Dr. Short Chestnut joy when Osarian and the others focused upon her. It gave her a peculiar feeling of warm and expectant well-being to know that so many naked boys were idling close by on the other side of the sand dunes. She had only to stretch her neck or rise on some pretext to see 20 or 40 undressed males lounging playing ball in the sunlight. Her own body was such a familiar, unremarkable thing that she was puzzled by the convulsive ecstasy men could take from her, by the intense and amusing need they had merely to touch it, to reach out urgently and press it, squeeze it, pinch it, rub it. She did not understand Osarian's lust. But she was willing to take his word for it. Evenings when Osarian felt horny, he brought Nurse Duckett to the beach with two blankets and enjoyed making love to their clothes more than he sometimes enjoyed making love to all the vigorous, amoral girls in Rome. Frequently they went to the beach and did not make love, but just lay shivering between the blankets against each other.